What do my pictures mean to me? I love you. Careful, sweetie. We create these monuments. Then we disappear. I think of them as my children. There's a gestation period and creation. People come and go. And we leave behind these things. How do they exist on their own?
How are you, man? It's good to see you.
Same here.
We miss you. Well, the bean doesn't exist anymore. It's now called.
No, it was gone before I left. It was gone before I left. So it's got to be, like, I'm gonna guess like 3.5 years since.
Oh my God.
Since it's gone. I mean, right? Because.
Yeah.
Hold on one sec here. I'm just preparing myself here.
Mm-hmm.
What's there now?
It's a nice place. It's not as cool as I thought. The bean was pretty cool. But it's a nice place called La Bianca Latte. It's another cafe.
Oh,
and actually, it's fantastic. I will say the one complaint people had, I was fine with it. But for me, the bean was it was a lot of places to sit and it has a nice vibe. But the coffee was not something special. The coffee is now pretty good. So they're Italian, Italian owners. It's very nice, and good pastries too. Yeah.
Oh, that's always important.
Yeah.
Let's get our priorities straight here.
Exactly.
All right. So, and anything else going on there?
Oh man, the neighborhood, it just continues to change.
Yeah.
Not in bad ways. I think it's fine. But I must say the hustle and bustle is back.
Yeah.
Not 100% like it was before, but it's post-pandemic. It's come alive again for sure.
Yeah. Well, glad for the occasion to do this. And I mean, so many, by the way, filmmakers up in this area here. I mean, it's and artists and, you name it. It's just, I mean, it's almost like, an extension of the whole Brooklyn vibe in some ways.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
I really do like living up here a lot.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Rhinebeck is, let's see, I know, for instance, Peekskill.
Well,
is
it's
north of Peekskill.
Yeah, for sure.
And Chappaqua.
That's pretty south. I think that's
okay.
Is that considered Westchester, Chappaqua?
Oh, really? Okay.
I think that might be northern Westchester, but not 100%.
That's possible. There's just two places where I know people, but you're definitely you're south of Poughkeepsie.
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm even north of there.
I'm just remembering, right? So, and Woodstock. Okay, so I know Woodstock. Where are you?
Yeah, so I'm closer to that, latitude.
Yeah.
I mean, if Rhinebeck is northern Dutchess County, I guess you could say, and it's across the river. I don't know, from maybe Kingston.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know.
Which is on the the west side of the river.
Yeah.
I'm like right by Bard College. I don't know if that helps at all.
Okay. Oh, it's so lovely up there.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
And I mean, I thought I was just too far north to begin with, and then my girlfriend is even, she's up further north in Greene County, which is on the west side and like just across from Hudson in a
Uh-huh.
town called Athens, where I'm moving. So so I'm kind of, it's still far south of Albany, but you're getting closer.
Okay.
So, you're not in commuter territory, whereas those towns you mentioned, Peekskill, they're probably people that I would guess, if they don't now, they used to, maybe, more people used to commute.
Yeah. Yeah.
Certainly from Chappaqua, I would imagine. It's,
Yeah.
But anyway, too bad there's nothing like a map online that we could refer to.
or even, let's say, an artificial intelligence chatbot that could tell us all kinds of things.
Yeah. Anyway, it's but I get down, I'm there all the time, not all the time, but I probably could get down a little bit more frequently than I have been, but it's, I really just enjoy being out of the city. I mean, it's just, I hit a wall, and I'm where I was just kind of burnt out, and and I made the move, and I've just been on a kind of, a high since. I've just enjoyed the just, it's so much, and that's after so many decades of living in the city. I just feel like I'm still, like, I don't take any for granted. I drive by the mountains and sun is setting, and it's just like I never grow tired of, this is exactly what I need and want.
That's awesome.
Of course, it could be the massive amounts of magic mushrooms I've been taking.
All right, fantastic.
Anyway, so, but yeah, I was down there on Sunday, and I took my kid out to lunch, or we took my kid out to lunch
Nice.
In Brooklyn, and so and my mother's still down there in a nursing home, so yeah. So my sister lives in this, Queens, and I've got lots of friends and family there.
Yeah.
Good old
Cool.
Herbert.
Herbert.
Do you remember my friend Herbert, who lived down Bedford? That's the guy that would sometimes.
Oh, that's who you would hang with at the cafe?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, he's still there across the street.
Right on.
From what was the Bean, and is now this Italian, this bar.
Bianca Latte.
Bianca
Latte.
Latte.
Took me a long time to be able to remember the name for some reason.
Yeah, Bianca. It's a pretty name, though.
It is.
So tell me, sir, about this photographer, Jade.
DOWSKI is how she pronounces it.
DOWSKI.
Yeah.
Right, she is architectural photographer, large scale architecture. Is that how she describes herself in your short film?
Yeah, actually, would she be? I think she would describe herself as more of a landscape architect, landscape photographer, or landscape and photography architecture. Her current project is also an amazing thing. She was hired by Fresh Kills Landfill or the New York Parks Department or something like that. And she is, I believe, the sole photographer in charge of documenting the transformation, the 25-year transformation of Fresh Kills from one of the largest dumps, landfills in the world, into this magnificent pastoral landscape. It's an incredible place. And she is like, goes out there once a month and just keeps taking pictures.
Of its evolution.
Yeah.
Where is it at now? I guess again, Google Maps.
Yeah. Well, it's on Staten Island is where it is, literally.
No, I know where it is. I mean,
if you were in it, you would not recognize it. You would literally, you might think you're in Rhinebeck again without the mountains. In fact, it's so like being in, out in the country. There's meadows and trees of all different kinds, and wildlife running around, deer, and even, I believe, little foxes and all kinds of different things.
Sure.
The interesting thing is, you would not know you're in New York until you look out on the horizon, and just far off in the distance is a tiny little skyline. Wow, it's so surreal. So it's a cool place.
Because they've landscaped it with making it
turning it into basically a forest.
Oh,
and a park. Yeah, like
right.
A park.
Okay.
Yeah.
over what was a landfill.
Yes, they have sealed the landfill in
With the dirt, with
with all kinds of plastic wrapping and like multiple layers of,
oh,
I don't even know what it's in. It's actually, apparently, I don't know much about it, but it's like an astounding engineering achievement. And
yeah,
what's interesting is
so.
it's one of the few, one of the only other telltale signs that you're in an unusual forest is occasionally you see these weird little, they almost look like little water pumps, but they're actually like vents for methane gas that comes up from
Oh, sure, right.
garbage.
Little like hard black rubber pipe things that come up and that kind of thing, or
Sometimes like that, or sometimes it literally looks like a metal, almost looks like a metal water pump or something. It's
oh,
like
okay.
a curved metal thing.
I see. Got it. All right.
Yeah.
So wow, so she is the official photographer of that, and I guess she's found a niche. So how did you meet this young photographer? Because she is young. I mean, that's one of the things about her. She, even though she seems very mature and has a level of self possession and understanding, you know, which is refreshing. But
Yeah, no, she's amazing. I met her through on Twitter one day. I saw a tweet by Gary Hustwit. Great
Gary,
documentary filmmaker.
Yeah, sure. And they have a place up here.
Oh, do they? Okay, cool.
At least so, because I've run into them a couple of times at events. He and his wife, who's, you know, a filmmaker herself.
Yeah. No, I thought his
And
films to me. Yeah, his films to me are so inspiring. And
Helvetica,
urbanized, and there's three of them,
etc.
And his wife we had this funny other connection to him in that his wife made a lovely short documentary called Tugboats, or it's about tugboats anyway. And when I was traveling around the festival circuit with Being Elmo, they would often pair tugboats with Being Elmo, which
okay.
Little thing. So we would see them all over the country.
Yeah.
Anyway, he tweeted, he was sort of retweeting a tweet from Jade about a Kickstarter she was running for her Lost Utopias project, which is the World's Fair project. And I saw that and I was just like, oh, this is amazing. I love World's Fairs. And and she was doing a Kickstarter. And to me, I get sucked into Kickstarter campaigns, happily so, that are where the person is doing something that I want to live through vicariously. Like, I wish I was doing that.
Right.
And so I gladly supported that. And at the time, I was sort of looking for a film to make.
Right. Oh,
and
yeah, that was what I was going to ask you about. If you were just looking for, because when was your last film?
That actually, you know, I really have just made short films. So I edit feature films and co-direct and produce and something like that. But I'm, you know, a part of other films. But as far as my own, like, I generate the project and make it, you know, from the beginning.
Understood. Like most filmmakers now.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
and I'm now making a feature, which is the one about Myst, this video game. But I've made a number of shorts. Originally, I made a bunch of comedy shorts when I was with UCB for a long time. And I had made a documentary.
No, I didn't. I don't know if I know this part of your.
Oh yeah. And I made a short with Michael Lesser, who's old Maisel cinematographer, actually, back in the day. And he and his wife, fun fact, he and his wife are often up in New Paltz. They have a place up in New Paltz, so a little bit up your way.
Michael and his wife, you mean?
Michael and his wife, Carol. And anyway, with Michael, I made a film called Rewalk, played in festivals and stuff like that, a short documentary about the invention of the first veterans that were getting to use these robotic exoskeletons. Which are now a bit more commonplace. At the time we made the film, it was pretty new. And anyway, I had finished that and was now looking for another kind of short documentary to make. And I love, most of my films are portraits of people, individual people, as opposed to groups, and especially artists. And anyway, I just saw this thing, and I felt so many personal connections just in terms of my interest. World's Fair, photography, a photographer, the work of a photographer. I had always liked when you go to museums and you're going to go see an art exhibit, a lot of times, even when I was a kid, I would go see these things in a museum. There's often a little room you get to sit in before going into the exhibit where they show a little documentary about an artist, about the artist.
Yeah.
And I think probably that is one of the main reasons I'm in documentary later as a grown up.
I've never heard that in all my conversations. I've never heard.
Oh yeah, I just love those things. And so I wanted to make one of those about Jade, and
That's awesome.
contacted her, and
Yeah,
off we went.
nice. And how long did it take for this film to come together?
Oh boy, I think I made it over the course of 6 or 7 years. Did it need 6 or 7 years? Not necessarily. I mean,
And it's a 30-minute film.
it's a 30-minute film. I mean, I didn't know how long it would be, and it's not because of the epic scope of the project or anything. Although it's because I'm, a working filmmaker, and I'm always doing a million other things. And I will say it's an interesting thing. Maybe some of the if there's other artists or filmmakers in the audience, can relate to. I suffer sometimes from you're working on your own thing, and then I get so freaked out by it, and I'm like, I don't know what to do next. And whereas when I work for other people or with other people, I'm like, oh yeah, absolutely, I know exactly what to do.
Sure. Well, you're working without a net when you're on your own in a way, right?
Yeah, and it's self-funded, and I didn't do a Kickstarter or anything for that.
Everything's on you. I mean, it's sure.
Yeah, the best thing about that, however, in taking that long is. As you know, with documentaries, it really means you do get to cover a really interesting, there's this boring word, longitudinal or observational thing, but you're covering somebody's life, and you do see them and their work develop. So for instance, at the beginning of the film, I believe her son is about 3, and then he's 5, and he grows up a little bit in the film and stuff like that. So that was really neat. The other thing is her project is I believe she took about 10 years to do all of North America, photograph all the world's fairgrounds in North America. And I got to see
how many there were.
Yeah, it's incredible. And I got to see, here's the best thing. And I got to see her career develop. So I really got to see her go from, at the beginning of the film, I think you see her having one photograph being shown in a small museum at the International Center of Photography.
Exhibit.
At the end, she publishes a book, and she had all these exhibits. And some of those galleries, by the way, up in the Hudson Valley too, Beacon. And
Oh yeah. Diaz here up in Beacon, and it's a big. Was that where it was?
We see it. It's sort of a montage of a number of galleries. Some in Brooklyn, some in Manhattan.
Yeah, that's a big deal. That place. It's there's the Metro North. It just brings all these folks from Brooklyn, right?
Oh yeah.
Brooklyn Beacon,
Yeah. See, you've got the Dia Museum there, and
it's a big, and it's kind of a real popular spot for like a day trippers,
Yeah.
Because the train.
Are we in the show now, or is this like pre?
No, this is the show. Yeah,
this is the show, man. I want to say hello and thank you. I didn't know if there'd be music, because I know in the show you've got music and you have like an intro and stuff like that.
Yeah, but that's all in post.
That's the magic of editing.
If you don't know what that means, let me know. Right. I'll fill you in on some of this.
Yeah. I know.
We'll see where I come in, because, but it's sort of part of the show, and I think I hesitate to call it charm, but whatever you want to call it, is that it's, what you see is what you get. WYSIWYG, a part of it is the verite approach to it, and not trying to, create some overly slick type of, but something far more casual and, as I said, verite kind of. So I
like it. You're like Nick Broomfield. You just show up with the cameras rolling. That's what I heard he does.
Yeah, but I get into fewer scuffles. Yeah, I think
that's true.
Yeah, he's been on a few times.
Oh, fantastic! He's amazing.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So I grew up. I don't know if you know, but I grew up in Queens, and I grew up minutes from. I mean, you can see it from our our place. Like you could see the World Fair in Flushing, Meadow Park. And so I and then I had on somebody the other day where actually I shouldn't just say somebody, RJ Cutler.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you know his work.
I know RJ a little bit. Yeah, from back.
Oh, okay. So he's really grown. Talking about his career has really blown up, but he was just on because he has a new docuseries. So we were talking the other day, and he had a Mets, like a really nice Mets cap on, and so we were talking about the Mets, and I'm like, he would come in from Great Neck. I'm like, well, we lived 5 minutes away. I mean, it was like the Grand Central Parkway was blocking. You could kind of almost bike over there, except that, I mean, I guess you could figure out how to get in there. I mean, obviously, but it wasn't like the shortest way there. You'd have to bike over or walk over the Grand Central Parkway, which I don't recommend you do. But I was very close to the World's Fair, and it holds a lot of mystique. And it was many years later when my son was small, when I was I was visiting my parents. They had been living in the village for many, many years, but moved back to the area later in life. And then I was visiting with my son, and we went to the Queen's Museum, which I had never been to, which is right there on the plaza there where, the Hemisphere, and it's right by where the World's Fair was.
The Unisphere. The Unisphere.
Unisphere. Thank you. Yeah. Don't correct me on my podcast.
No. And so did you see the map in the Queen's Museum, the incredible model of the city?
Yeah, sure.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's right. You go into that like dark room, right? And right? Yeah.
That's from the fair. That's from the 64.
I know, it's really incredible. If you look close enough, I could see me in there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's very Matrix.
Exactly. Well,
I don't know if you've been back there, by the way, but so what you're talking about is Jade. In fact, some of Jade's most famous photographs from this series are of what was called the New York State Pavilion. It is in the New York World's Fair grounds, Flushing Meadows, near, as you said, the Unisphere, which is kind of the model of the Earth, very famous thing people have seen. Also near the Arthur Ashe Tennis Center, and where the Mets play. What used to be Shea Stadium is now Citi Field.
Stadium.
And the New York State Pavilion, designed by Philip Johnson, great architect, has since been semi-restored. There's a group that's working to restore it. It's taking a while, but
what?
Semi-restored the building, which has been a ruin for many years. The New York State
which
Pavilion.
one?
So the New York State Pavilion was, what is the really weird, like the round structure with the tubes.
Yes.
It's in Men in Black.
Yeah.
They've since built a theater there. That I don't know if it's like a stage theater or a movie theater and stuff, but
well, it's not a movie theater.
No. Okay. All right.
There's no way that's going to be the case. But interesting. So that's wonderful news.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I grew up very close to there. So
cool.
Is that, what year was the World's Fair there?
So there were two World's Fairs. One was in 1939 and 1940, I believe, and the other was in 1964, 65.
In Queens?
It's that exact same location. Basically, the 64 World's Fair is on the exact same site as the 39 were. The 39, by the way, you or anyone in the audience, if you've not seen
audience
home movies, right? There's an audience.
Yeah,
I believe. Home movies, or there's been some beautiful documentaries about both World's Fairs, but especially the 1939 World's Fair was incredible.
Yeah,
really, it's this quintessential kind of futuristic thing. So
yeah, where they actually probably made I'm just guessing because I can't really remember, but I would imagine they had a certain amount of accuracy with, or good guesses about the kind of technology that they were predicting would be around.
Yeah.
Space lasers, for instance.
Yeah, absolutely.
There used to be a World Fair though every 4 years, right? Wasn't there?
It's interesting. There's not. There was there. I believe there was an official World's Fair organization. Maybe they still exist. Maybe there are multiple ones.
I don't think it really.
It's a semi-official thing. So anyway, but basically different cities, when they decide they want to hold a World's Fair, that they seem to.
But they don't do it anymore. There hasn't been a World's Fair.
They still do them. And in fact, Jade, Jade tells a wonderful story about getting the idea to do this project, which, just to clarify, if I didn't already, her project it's called Lost Utopias. And she set out to document, to photograph all of the World's Fair sites in North America, and eventually the world she'd like to do. She's done North America. And she would go to them, and whether they still had remnants like you see in New York City, or some of them just an empty field, she would photograph it. And beautiful, astounding body of work. And I believe she got, if I remember correctly, she got the idea by going to the World's Fair in, I think, Barcelona.
Oh,
that was, in recent times. And
I didn't realize they still had World Fairs.
There was one in Milan recently as well. Yeah, they still have them. They're nothing like, they're not as earth-shattering as they were in the past, because we have the internet and we have.
Yeah, the world is so much smaller too. It was like, part of that was to celebrate, was like in a way to try to make the world seem smaller. Well, there was that song, after all. It's a small world, after all.
It's a small world,
that,
yeah. Is that from the World's Fair? It might.
I want to say it was, but I could be completely wrong. But I know that it played at Disney World, right? Or one of the
Disney, who's one of my great. I love Disney and I love Disney World so much. So anyone who's been to Epcot, Disney World 2 and Disneyland, but Disney World in particular and Epcot absolutely might enjoy knowing that Disney, it makes sense that Disney began building things like that at the 1964 World's Fair.
Right.
So he built some of the most popular and like really cool, there's Futurama and different things like this for General Motors, and Sinclair Oil Company also had a thing about the dinosaurs and fossil fuels and things, which you don't see today. But yeah, it's possible that It's a Small World comes from that. If not, it's a direct inspiration.
Well, if you're watching or listening out there, let us know.
Right. If you know the song, it's now in your head. And
well, yeah,
congratulations.
It was a great song.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember it very clearly from growing up with it. And so tell me where Jade wait a minute, DOWSKI,
DOSKOW.
Or I wasn't going to butcher it, but DOWSKI, where photographer, where did it's been in festivals yet?
It has been at festivals. We had the unfortunate luck I finished the film and started putting it out right when the pandemic hit. Thank you very much. And so I submitted to lots of festivals, and it just, that year, that was 2020, I guess. So many festivals. It was by the way, I'll just say it was a fascinating thing. If you run or you're involved in any way in film festivals and you lived through 2020, I salute you, because I spoke to a lot of festival programmers who would be interested in showing the film, and then I talked to them. They say, we don't know if we're having in-person screenings at all. We don't know if we're going to cancel the film. We don't know if we're going to do virtual screenings. It was a chaotic thing. So we were in a number of festivals. We won some nice awards, which are wonderful. We kind of went through that. And then we're now in the process of, I haven't yet kind of just put it up online to be mass available, because we are doing screenings and the short film world is so different from the feature world. So we're doing screenings, kind of we arrange them with museums or institutions or
educational distribution, institutional, self-distribution. I mean, there really isn't that many vehicles for shorts like that, other than
I do want to give a shout out though to, first of all, the Asheville Museum of Art down in North Carolina, where they had an exhibit of Jade's work at the local art museum or local gallery there. And they also invited, that was kind of one of our premieres there. We also premiered, we had a New York, it's been our world premiere at the International Center of Photography, which has been a huge supporter of Jade's. She is also, I believe, on the faculty there. And we've had a couple of screenings there. down in the Bowery. If you have not been, if you're in New York City, go to the International Center of Photography Museum down in the Bowery. It's really cool. Let me just say, they built this beautiful museum. They moved from their original place, which was also beautiful in Midtown Manhattan. They moved down to the Bowery, built this magnificent museum. And I think they were open like 6 days and the pandemic hit. And then they had to close. And we got to be, my film and Jade and I got to go down there, the film called Lost Utopias. We got to have premiere there, which was also the first film screening they had, the first live event post-pandemic. They reopened the museum at that point. So that was really fun.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So there's been some stirrings of things with the film. That's great. So and then we'll just keep people apprised of, when the next opportunity comes.
Absolutely.
But you have to send me a clip.
Okay, cool. Did I send you? I sent you a press kit with the trailer.
Oh, you have a proper trailer?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So got a press kit. I can tell. By the way, the website, which is I say to you, and I'll email you as well. But for anyone who's listening, go to lostutopias.com. That's all one word. You can see a trailer, and you can see all kinds of background information, photographs from the film, and a little biography of Jade, and information about myself. So, and information about screenings and how, if you're interested in having a screening, you can reach us.
Oh, great! That's great.
Yeah, lostutopias.com.
Philip Shane is the filmmaker.
Indeed.
You can check out philipshane.com.
Yeah.
Is that true?
That is true. That really, you are Chat GPT, my friend. He's out of work. Yeah.
For find out all about Philip Shane and what he's been up to or what he has accomplished. And I look forward to seeing you in person one of these days.
Absolutely.
And of course you can always come up. We're going to celebrate my big 60th birthday.
No way.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. That's
in the fall. In the fall.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't believe you're 60. I mean, you don't look at, I am seeing you on Zoom. So
15 years from now, I'm 35. I mean, I'm 45. I can't even
right.
How bad it is.
Just kidding.
But in the fall, but early fall, at the end of the summer. And so we're going to have just people up, and I'll invite everybody.
Great. That'd be fun.
Yeah. So that's great. So hang out for a second. We'll say goodbye, but hang out, because I did want to tell you about one thing. All right. So the official portion is over. Well, thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Adam.
We should just, anytime you want to talk about, because I kind of like the building of the community of people that come on, and you've been on, maybe, I think this is just your second time now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, thank you for that.
No, thank you, Adam. It's an honor and a privilege. For real.
Right. Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just hit